So I train disability inclusion in the workplace. So my clients are kind of EDI leaders, but then the delegates in the room are their line managers. So they want support for their line managers. And so I've been thinking about this for a while, actually, like before, I knew about yours, Neil, about setting up my own this kind of thing. And I think it's a good way to although my client is not my end user, to capture capture the end user, which then leads to the client. So it kind of be like, now you can see what it looks like. Now you can tell your EDI team what we can do for you. So my question is more about kind of engagement. So any tips that you have on engaging people to first attend these things, and then the continuity really about it.
100%.
Yeah.
So I would say, first and foremost, I'm not an expert in this, but I can share what's
Mm,
worked for me, how I went into the thought process of all of this, and then just give you a couple of tips and tricks. Is that all right with you, Essie?
yeah, it's perfect. Thank you.
All right, cool. So this came about, and I wouldn't say accident, but I noticed gaps in something that I was doing previously. So as a lot of people know, I used to run another webinar called Power Hour, which was built for people coming in to do cold calling whilst I was working with my sales coach, right? And the way that we put that together was I designed it, I built it, and I delivered it. And it was for people that wanted to cold call in a Zoom like this. However, over time, people started joining that not to do the cold calling, but to just ask general questions about sales.
Mm,
And I always kind of preface it by saying, this isn't the space for that. Let's move you into a coaching, commercial discussion, etc. That was kind of like the goal of it.
yeah.
But it got to a point because I was running it every day, 5 days a week.
Wow.
And yeah, thank you. It was a lot of work. But, you
Very
know,
impressive.
when yeah, but when we like, so the way it worked was I used to give like 10 minutes of tips and free education, and then we had 45 minutes for people to do the cold calling. And what I would find is people would put themselves on mute and start doing the dialing, but then one or two people would say, Neil, I've got a question. Do you mind if I ask it? It's not related to cold calling. And I'll be like, yeah, if I'm here, I'm happy to do it. And it kept going through, and I just kept sitting there and thinking, when I was delivering that session, I used to say to people, if you just got questions in general, feel free to just come along, right? So I finished doing that type of session last year and I handed it back over to MSC and they now run it. But then I sat here and I was thinking, oh, is it something I could do? So that was problem number one, and that was the gap. There was a want for it, there was a demand for it. The second gap I realized in my own business was a lot of people used to message me and saying, hey, Neil, could I pick your brain? And it was normally on a LinkedIn DM or an email or a voice note. And it could be to the effect of, I've come to a crossroads in my career, or I'm trying to do more outbound and I need a second pair of eyes, or my manager's just not giving me the time of day. Could you give me some help? And I love helping people. But if you imagine I've got 11,000 connections on LinkedIn, and if we take 10% of that, you can imagine the amount of DMs that I would
Mm,
get. And I'd always do my best to respond to people and try and give them a bit of information. But then I used to have another way of dealing with it, which was, so you'd hit me with a free question, and I'd say, Essie, could I ask, are you looking for paid coaching or free advice? And it would help me qualify that person as to, is this a lead or is this just somebody who wants the free advice? And historically, if you said to me, yes, no, I'm looking for free advice. Okay, cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But I would
Disqualified
then,
and out, yeah.
yeah, I would then say to you, Essie, well, look, here's my YouTube channel. Here's my podcast. Here's my LinkedIn content. You can find the answers within.
mhm.
And that would help me manage my time without feeling guilty of saying to that person, I'm not doing a freebie. But then as that kept happening, I knew people were looking for answers. So I thought, okay, that's another reason to put this on. Then the third gap was, imagine, Ogan, you are not a happy selling client. You've never had any coaching with me, but you do follow my content. But I know behind it, you're wondering, what is it like to do this paid thing with Neil? So the way that I could put it is, Ogan, if you're still on the fence about paid coaching, why don't you join Coach on Call so you can see what it's like? You can ask me the free advice. It's a designated time and you can come to as many sessions as you want. And I have found that some people that have come to these sessions have then turned into clients, but that isn't the primary goal. The real selfish goal, SC, is I want to find the questions that sales reps are asking, give them the answers so they can go off at the beginning of the week and get shit done, but also allow me to capture content.
Yeah.
Right. So I do record these and I do clip them up. But now, today, if somebody DM me on the weekend and said, Neil, do you have any tips of cold calling? I go onto YouTube. I go into, I quickly show you now because I had this ready for today's session. Can you see my YouTube page?
Yep.
Yep.
I have a whole bunch of clips and tips. So somebody says, how do you deal with cold callers AI? I can then send them the clip. So that's kind of like how this came about. So it's realizing the gap, realizing the demand, and then putting it through together.